Hello, everybody. It is I, Big O, once again, and this is going to be kind of a quick, yet another kind of quick video. So where the fuck do I start? Okay, so my original intention with this video was I was just going to give a straight, review or my thoughts on this new Boogie2988 video. I'm sorry, documentary that came out. And I was going to also go back to my original video about Boogie that was released years ago, kind of as like an I told you so. I told you so. Because I made a video on Boogie years ago about one of his videos where he's whining about losing weight and not being able to lose weight and making a bunch of excuses about it. And it also led into a greater criticism of the fat acceptance movement. And thankfully, there's I have a habit of not saving my videos, and then my videos and my accounts get taken down because YouTube is ass. But luckily, there's a channel out there that's been archiving a bunch of my older videos, and that's one of them. So I'll post a link in the description of that video if you want to check it out. And when I first made that video, people were like shitting on me. Like people were like, "Oh, fuck you, man. Fuck you, Boogie. He's a sweet innocent cinnamon roll." Like people were giving me so much shit for going after Boogie. Well, who's fucking laughing now, assholes? I was right, and I'm going to gloat about that for as long as I live. But I didn't make that video because something inside of me said, "Wait a couple days, shit's gonna get crazy." And oh boy, did it. So after the documentary was released, a couple days later, Boogie was on a podcast with ReviewTechUSA and some ordinary gamers. Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers has made it quite vocal in the past, his thoughts on Boogie2988. Calling him on his lies and manipulations and yada, yada, yada. And they're having a back and forth, screaming at each other. During that podcast, Boogie was accused the director of the documentary of fudging numbers and screwing up names of the medicine that he was taking care of. And Mudahar was like, "Hold on, I'm going to stop you right there. So you signed him up. You signed up on this. You approved it. You were there every step of the way. He shows you the documentary, the finished one. You say, go ahead, show it to the masses. And now you're accusing him of lying? Of making shit up? Oh, no, I didn't know that." It was insane. And then it gets even crazier. Right? Because keep in mind, Boogie, he's screaming at Mudahar for calling him on his bullshit. Mudahar, harsh as he was, he had every right to call him out for being a liar, because that's what Boogie does. And then a phone call gets leaked between Boogie and Keemstar, which I don't know the relationship between the two, right? I haven't paid enough attention to this because I have other shit going on in my life. But apparently Keemstar is paying Boogie for some reason. But that's the extent of what I know. And Keemstar sends him this voicemail, or this voicemail, just hammering into Boogie, screaming at him, calling him a fucking retard for being on this podcast in the first place, and saying he should kill himself, yada, like the craziest shit. And then Boogie's just like, yeah, I see that, yeah, you're right, yeah. Like, so Mudahar calls him out for lying. Boogie responds by being belligerent and screaming at the top of his lungs. Keemstar calls him a useless fat fuck that should kill himself, and Boogie agrees. But it gets even weirder, because another phone call was leaked where Boogie has a video of himself literally crawling on his hands and knees, begging, and I'm quoting him on this, Daddy Keemstar for forgiveness. And evidently, the video was filmed by his fucking cradle-robbed girlfriend. So that should be a red flag to her to get the fuck out. So, and on that note, I just want to gloss over a couple of things I find interesting in the documentary. So I watched the full thing. It's like an hour, hour. And I just want to talk about some of the things that just fascinated me about it. So, one, Boogie spent an ungodly amount of money on prostitutes, and one of the prostitutes came out and said, he's my last ever client because I quit sex work and went into the medical field. Boogie traumatized her so bad she quit being a whore. She's like, fuck this, I'm going to school. Just, my God. And there's a reenactment of this dude. I don't know if he was actually that fat or if he was wearing a fat suit, but he still wasn't as fat as Boogie. This prostitute just talking about, I couldn't find his dick. I'm sorry. Okay. And then there was the Magic the Gathering scene where I just started laughing at this part too, because like everyone at the table was like fucking stereotyped. You had the neckbeards and the fedoras. You had the dude sitting down that was fatter than Boogie with the fucking neckbeard. Okay. And then Boogie gives them the talk. He's like, hey guys, I can't afford food for us anymore. We're going to have to cut back, or some of you are going to have to, chip in. And then one of those guys is like, well, we've been telling you for a long time, you don't have to feed us. So this is all on Boogie. And I get Boogie's situation, right? Whenever I have whenever people come over to my house and hang out and play games or whatever, I'm the host, I buy the shit. I get it. But he's spending like $100 a weekend just on food alone for these guys to come over and play Magic the Gathering. Another thing I found really funny in the documentary, and I guarantee you this was on purpose, right? Where Boogie's talking about, how am I going to afford all this? I just don't have the money. I can't afford basic living, blah, blah, blah. And then behind him is an entire fucking arcade filled with cabinets. It's like, gee, I wonder where you can get the money, dumbass. And then the thing that was the sticking point for pretty much everybody was him introducing his cradle-robbed girlfriend, who at the time of this filming was just 20 years old. Now, people like clutch pearls when they talk about age gaps, and I will say this: she is legally an adult, right? Legally, she's an adult. But I think it would have been no. I don't think anybody would have given a single fuck if she was 25 and he was 49. The fact that she's only a couple years off from being legally considered a child is what really grossed people out. And I think that's where the pedo accusations come from. There's a scene where he's listing off all the things that he was accused of and how it almost ruined his life. And then one of them was, Boogie's pedophile. He's like, I can't believe people call me that. And then he shows off his fucking 20-year-old girlfriend. And then he also talks about, this is what the movie opens with. He's in his bathtub surrounded by rubber ducks. And he's like, I dated somebody who had an age regression. And she would make me treat her like a toddler and buy her rubber duckies. And I would wash her like she was my child. Anyway, that was one of the best times of my life. Like, what the fuck, dude? Why are you bragging about... Another person pointed out that it's almost like he's bragging. Right? He brags about shit that no normal person would be proud of. Almost like a flex, right? And then, oh god, the meat flaps. Ugh. The meat flaps. Dude has his own loincloth made out of his own skin. Like, Kind of like in Family Guy, where they can show it on TV because Peter's so fat that his stomach hangs over his genitals. Well, it's like that, but like an eldritch horror. But no, I think Boogie's a disgusting piece of shit. And what's even worse is she clearly, his girlfriend clearly is not emotionally, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, mature, obviously. She's not emotionally developed enough to handle the situation. Because she's literally like 20 years old. What is it? The brain doesn't fully develop until you hit like, what, 21? Something like that. But if this is all she knows about love, then she's way too fucking young. Like, you know, I get it. She, like, Boogie preyed on her, right? There's no question. He preyed on her. She, you know, there was a parasocial relationship that turned into an actual relationship, and that shit is so, can't believe I'm saying this, so toxic, right? And this is what's fucked up. I think this is the most fucked up part of all. Not only the age gap, but him sitting down and basically reading his last will and testament to her, when during the time of this recording they only known each other for like, what, a couple months. So thanks for being my boyfriend. By the way, I'm dying. Here's everything that's wrong with me, and I'm probably gonna be dead within a year. Like, how could you do that to somebody, right? And her saying that, you know, oh, if he cheats on me, I'd be upset, but I'd understand it. Like, how do you hate yourself that much? Like, see, this is what Boogie has done. Well, she was probably that mentally broken to begin with, but he made it fucking worse, right? And he does the classic, you know, toxic boyfriend tactic. Oh, she can leave at any time, right? She can leave at any time. You know, I'm not forcing her to stay here. You know, there's the door. But then you tell her that you're dying and there's all this shit wrong with you and you could drop dead tomorrow, so that you basically trapped her, right? You fucking trapped her. You knew what you were doing, you sick fuck. It's just, it's just crazy, man. Like, I really don't know what else to say. Oh, like, at the end, where he's like, fuck it, I got, you know, I've exhausted every possible solution, guess I'll just get high now. and he goes into the woods with this shaman, right? And I put shaman in quotes because he's just some white guy. Like, okay, whenever I hear the word shaman, I'm thinking of like a wise Native American medicine doctor or like a voodoo priest or whatever. And then there's just like this dude in this fucking redneck. He just so happens to have a fuckload of drugs. And they call him a shaman. So Boogie, you know, he does enough drugs to tranquilize a horse. And he's like, man, fuck it, man. Nothing matters, man. Fuck it. You know, I get it now. Nothing matters. And then he wakes up from his drug-filled stupor, drinks an opened, lukewarm can of Mountain Dew. And then he's like, well, things are looking up. And then the video ends. Things were, in fact, not looking up. In fact, they were looking down into the fucking void. God, Boogie, you sack of shit. You deserve everything that's coming to you and more. Like, I'm so happy to be vindicated and believing for years for you to be nothing but a sack of shit. I'm just so happy. I feel vindicated now. You know, everybody was shitting on me, talking like, how could you? He's the Master Rogers of the internet. You're just being a big old meanie. Yeah, well, at least I don't fucking cradle rob when I'm looking for a human fleshlight. And that's what she is to him. You know, she meets all of his basic necessities. He can fuck her anytime he wants, not have to pay for it. She does all the chores so he doesn't have to move. And she is an emotional sponge for him to project onto, and absorb all the negativity that's floating around in his system. So yeah, she's not a girlfriend, right? There's no love there, right? And now he's like forcing her to videotape his lowest moments to other people. It's beyond unhealthy. It's unhealthy to a degree I can't even begin to fathom. But anyway, if you want to watch the documentary for yourself and all the supplemental like amazing material that came out of that, I'm going to put the links in the description. I also want to put a link to a video that a friend of mine was part of. People getting interviewed about why they left the fan acceptance movement. So if you want to check out that video, please check out that video. That's really all I got to say. Eat shit, Boogie. This has been Big Al. I shall see you next time. Let's see. There it goes. Over and out.